The last photograph Evelyn Harper ever took was of her own reflection in a mirror that should not have been there. She did not know it was the last one yet. She only knew the house felt wrong the moment she crossed the threshold, like stepping into a room where someone had just stopped screaming. The realtor had called it a steal, a crumbling 1890s Victorian on the edge of Blackthorn Woods, Oregon, abandoned since the 70s. Cash sale, no inspections, keys left under a rusted planter shaped like a frog. Evelyn had laughed when she found them. She liked things that were slightly cursed. It made the pictures better. She was 29, freelance, good enough that magazines paid her to chase decay. Rotting hospitals, burned churches, houses where terrible things happened. She told people she was documenting vanishing America. Really, she was trying to outrun the sound of her mother's breathing the night the machines finally went quiet. If she kept moving, kept clicking the shutter, nothing could catch her. The house waited for her at the end of a dirt road strangled by blackberry vines. 3 stories, narrow windows like suspicious eyes, paint the color of dried blood. The porch sagged so badly she heard wood groan under her boots. She took a picture of the front door before she opened it. The flash painted everything white for half a second, and in that frozen instant she thought she saw a woman standing behind her on the porch. When the light died, Evelyn was alone. Inside smelled of wet paper and something coppery underneath. She left the door open for the gray October light and walked through the foyer with her camera up, shooting the staircase that curved upward like a spine, the wallpaper peeling in long yellow tongues, the chandelier choked with cobwebs and dead moths. Every room felt recently vacated. A teacup on the kitchen counter still held half an inch of something dark. Upstairs, children's toys lay scattered as if play had been interrupted mid-scream. A wooden train missing its wheels. A doll with both eyes scratched out. Evelyn loved it. She spent the first afternoon filling memory cards. By dusk she had carried in her duffel a camp chair, a thermos of coffee, and the no problem. She had done worse. She set up in the parlor because it had the biggest window. Spread a sleeping bag on the floor, arranged 3 battery lanterns in a triangle, and opened a can of chili she ate cold with a plastic spoon. Outside, rain started, soft at first, then hard enough to rattle the few remaining panes. She scrolled through the day's shots on her laptop, cropping, adjusting exposure, tagging the best ones for her Patreon. The house creaked around her like an old ship. She told herself it was settling. At 11:17 p.m. she took the photograph that ended everything. She had noticed a door she missed earlier, tucked under the stairs, narrow and painted the same grimy white as the wall. It opened with a sigh onto a sliver of a room no bigger than a closet. Inside stood a single piece of furniture, an ornate floor mirror in a frame of blackened wood carved with faces screaming silently. The glass was impossibly clean. Evelyn stepped in, raised her camera, and fired the flash. The reflection that looked back was hers down to the ripped jeans and the scar on her left eyebrow, but it did not raise a camera. It smiled with too many teeth and lifted one hand in a slow wave. Evelyn stumbled backward, heart hammering. The mirror showed only darkness now. She laughed once, shaky, blamed exhaustion, cheap chili, bad light. She shut the door and wedged her camp chair under the knob because the house suddenly felt too big and she felt too small. She did not sleep. Every hour she checked the closet door. The chair never moved, but she kept hearing footsteps overhead, deliberate and unhurried, as if someone was learning the floorboards. At 3:04 a.m. the laptop battery died. The lanterns dimmed at the same moment, all 3 at once, though they were new. Darkness pressed close enough to taste. She sat up, clutching the camera like a talisman. Listened. The footsteps stopped directly above her. Then began again, slower, descending the staircase one creak at a time. She counted 13 steps. The parlor had no interior door, only an archway. She watched it, breath shallow. Nothing appeared. After a long minute the footsteps walked across the foyer and into the closet. She heard the soft click of a latch that did not exist. Evelyn waited until dawn clawed through the windows before she moved. She packed in 90 seconds, left the sleeping bag, left the chili can, left everything except the camera and the keys. The mirror room door hung open. The mirror was gone. Only pale rectangles on the floorboards showed where its claws had once stood. She drove too fast down the dirt road, tires spitting gravel, radio blasting anything to fill the cab. 40 miles later she pulled into a gas station outside Salem and sat shaking until the attendant knocked on the window and asked if she was okay. She said yes. She was not. That night in a motel off I-5 she uploaded the day's shots to her cloud drive the way she always did, a habit stronger than fear. She fell asleep with the laptop open and woke at 2:12 a.m. to the sound of the mirror photograph being viewed. The preview window was maximized. Someone, something, was clicking through the gallery one image at a time. She watched the scroll bar move by itself. She slammed the lid shut and yanked the battery. When she opened it again in daylight the laptop was fried, motherboard black and smoking though it had never been plugged in. She bought a new one in Portland and swore she would never go back to the house. She lasted 11 days. The dreams started on the third night. Always the same. She stood in the narrow room and the mirror showed her childhood bedroom exactly as it looked the night her mother died, machines beeping, morphine drip gleaming under fluorescent light. Only her mother was sitting up in bed, smiling the way she had not smiled in months, beckoning. Evelyn would step forward and the glass would ripple like water. Hands would close around her ankles from beneath the bed and drag her down into somewhere cold and lightless where things with her mother's face whispered that she had left too soon, that they were not finished. She woke gagging every time. On the 7th day her Patreon followers began messaging her about a new photo that appeared in her public album though she had posted nothing since the house. It was the mirror shot, but altered. Her reflection now stood inside the narrow room while Evelyn herself was on the other side of the glass, palm pressed against it, mouth open in a silent scream. The timestamp read tomorrow. She deleted the album. It came back. She closed the account. A new one appeared under her name with the handle @EvelynWasher. The profile picture was the screaming doll from the upstairs bedroom. By the 11th day she had not slept more than 20 minutes at a stretch. She looked like someone drowning on dry land. Friends stopped answering texts. Her editor emailed asking why she missed deadlines. She sat in her apartment in Seattle staring at the single print she had made out of stubbornness, the original mirror photograph, telling herself it was just a double exposure, a trick of light. The print showed something new every morning. First just the extra smile. Then the hand raised. Then her reflection stepping out of the frame while the real Evelyn remained trapped inside the glass, fists beating soundlessly. On the 11th night she packed a fresh memory card, extra batteries, and a bottle of whiskey and drove south through rain that felt personal. She reached the house just after midnight. The vines had grown. They clawed at the car windows like they wanted in. She left the headlights on, beams cutting through drizzle, and walked up the broken porch steps with the camera around her neck and the whiskey in her hand. The front door stood open though she had locked it when she fled. Inside, every lantern she had abandoned still glowed faintly though the batteries should have died weeks ago. They formed a path leading under the stairs. The narrow door waited, no chair blocking it now. Beyond lay the little room, empty except for the mirror standing exactly where it had been, glass gleaming like it had been polished. Evelyn stepped inside and closed the door behind her. She raised the camera. The whiskey bottle slipped from her fingers and shattered, amber liquid spreading like old blood. In the mirror she saw the parlor behind her, the sleeping bag still unrolled, the chili can on its side. She saw herself walk into the parlor weeks ago, exhausted and alive, setting up camp. She watched that earlier Evelyn sit down, open the laptop, begin to edit photos. She watched her own past self look up, straight into the mirror she now faced, and smiled a smile with too many teeth. The reflection raised a hand and waved slowly. Evelyn understood then. The house had never been empty. Something had been waiting behind the glass for someone lonely enough, guilty enough, reckless enough to bring it a door. A lens. A way out. She lifted the camera with shaking hands and took one final photograph. The flash blinded her. When her vision cleared she was on the other side of the mirror, palms pressed to cold glass, screaming without sound. On the side where the room should be stood Evelyn, only it was not Evelyn anymore. It wore her skin, her scar, her tired eyes, but the smile belonged to something much older. It picked up the broken whiskey bottle, tilted its head as if listening to instructions only it could hear, and walked out of the narrow room carrying Evelyn's camera. Behind it, the mirror went dark. Days later, hikers found the house again. They posted photos online. Beautiful decay, gorgeous light, that creepy mirror in the closet that showed nothing at all no matter where you stood. One girl claimed her reflection waved when she did not. They laughed, took selfies, left before sunset. None of them noticed the woman watching from an upstairs window, camera raised, waiting for the next lonely soul who needed to outrun something and thought abandoned places were safe. She takes excellent photographs now. Perfect composition, haunting light. Sometimes the subjects look startled, as if they heard the shutter too late. And every photograph she takes has the same faint watermark in the lower right corner, pale letters almost lost in the shadows.